We're going to get our skirt now, and this is upside down. So this is where we started our skirt, and so this is my waist, and then down there is where my legs would poke out. We're going to find the middle of our skirt. We want the front of the skirt facing us, so this is the bit with no increasing. And then this back section, as you can see, my stitch markers are still attached, and that is the bit that's facing the table. We're going to find the middle, so I'm just going to fold it in half. This is getting quite big now. Fold it in half, and then where you started your skirt should be on the end here, so that's not quite right. Okay, that's better. My yarn tails are coming out on the fold. So lay that back down. Grab your bib. This is the last row that we did, and then the top of the bib is up there. We're just going to place it on top. We want to find the middle of our bib, so we can fold that in half. And then find the middle, and we're just going to lay it on top where the start of our skirt is, which for me is just here where these yarn tails are hanging out. And we're just going to place it so it lines up with that. And I'm just looking on the end here, and you can see I've got 2 shells, so I'm making sure the other end has 2 shells as well. So many yarn ends. I'm going to be sewing in ends forever. So we've got 2 pinky colour, yeah, 2 pink ones there. That's what I was counting on the other side. So 2 pink ones. I might actually use some stitch markers in there just to hold it in place, so when I go across I know where I'm up to. I'm just going to place them anywhere, just there. That's pretty much the middle, roughly. I'm not actually counting, it doesn't really matter. Just there, just to hang it, make sure it's in place. We're going to grab our bib and we're going to pull it towards us, and we're going to grab the edge of the skirt, and also, so let me just pull it towards us. So this is the front of the skirt. You can see the back's down in there. Front of the skirt and the edge of our bib. This is the very last row that we've crocheted, and I'm going to be joining in this row, and then it's all going to line up. Now, if you've joined granny squares with the join as you go, where you do 3 double crochets down here and you slip stitch into the piece up there, we're going to do that method, but it kind of doesn't work the way you thought it did. But what we need to do is we're going to join. So normally we would join in the chain space with a slip stitch. This is if you've done that method, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, you've probably got no idea what I'm talking about. We normally join in this space, but if we do that, our shells are not going to line up properly. They are going to be stacked on top of each other rather than staggered like they do in the pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to join into the middle double crochet of the 3 stitches that we've got there. So we're going to go to the one we're going to join in, which is here, and we're going to put our crochet hook either in between the legs of the double crochet. I'm going to zoom in a bit so we get a good close-up on this. Might actually show on this pink one. I don't know if that one's going to show up properly, but you've got your 3 double crochets, so 1, 2, 3, and you've got the legs of the double crochet, the middle one. Let's just poke this one out so we can see it. I might just use my crochet hook for that. This is just to show you where to put your crochet hook. And then we've got 2 legs. You've got one here and one there of the double crochet. We're going to put our crochet hook in between the 2 legs of the double crochet. But we're going to do it down on this row because that's where we're joining. And we're going to go in there. That's just this colour I don't think is showing up on camera very well. So we're just going to go in there between the 2 posts of the double crochet, the 2 legs, go in there, and we're going to work a slip stitch. I just need to fix my yarn because it's all sorts of places at the moment. And we're going to work a slip stitch, so we're going to go behind, grab that yarn, let's get these ends out of the way, and pull through. Into the next space on, this is our bib. In the next space, we're going to work 3 double crochet. Coming up to our skirt section, this is the very first row of our skirt. We're going to have a look. We've joined in there. You can see it's coming out of here. We need to go to the next one. And we're going to do the same thing, putting your crochet hook in between the 2 legs of the crochet stitch in there. Go around the back with your yarn and grab it and pull through for a slip stitch. Make sure this slip stitch is tight. Get back on there, you. Is tight. Don't leave it loose like that. You're going to just pull your yarn, whichever one you need to yank on, and cinch it up so it's tight. And then down here, we're going to do 3 double crochet in the next available space. So this joining method is very, very similar to the one I do on my granny squares, except when you do your slip stitch, you do it in a different spot. You do it in this big space here rather than into the stitches. So we're going to find the next available stitch, and we have done this one. You can see it's joined there. Into the next one, we're going to grab our crochet hook, go in between the 2 legs of the crochet and pull through. See how it's gone loose there? We want to tighten that up. One of these strands tightens it up. I'm yet to figure out which one. And we're going to do 3 double crochet back into the bib section, which is here. And you can see now, once I stop wiggling my crochet around, that this is the next colour in my sequence. So if you come down here, you can see it. You've got a bright blue, a darker blue, coral, pink, purple. This is not the names of the yarn. Bright blue and dark blue. So bright blue, dark blue, coral. Oops. Bright blue, dark blue, coral. And up here, bright blue, dark blue, coral. We've made our sequence. Everything matches. And our shells are in the right spot. They're not stacked on each other. So we're going to repeat this all the way across. You could totally sew this. Oh, I just pulled a stitch out. You could totally sew this together if you wanted to. If you didn't like the way this works, you can definitely sew it together. You could crochet it together. I would do the crochet on the, I don't know, would you do it on the front or the back? I don't really know. But if you do it a different way, let me know and tell me how you liked it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I think I would sew it together rather than crochet it, even though crochet is a pain in the you know what. Oh my goodness, this looks amazing. Amazing. So pause the video and I will see you when we have joined all the way across, and I'll meet you at the other end of the row. Just on my 3 double crochets in my last space there, I need to do a slip stitch at the top. Ignore this end here. I had to literally join my yarn in to do 1 stitch. And then we're going to double crochet in the last stitch of this row. So work our double crochet. And we're just going to finish off there, because if we slip stitch in the next one, because we need 3 stitches to slip stitch, it's going to look really strange. So we're just going to finish off our double crochet, and then when we sew it end in, we're just going to fix that up. See how it's kind of, it's flapping around, like there's this bit, I don't know if you can tell, there's like a bit there hanging out. we're just going to stitch that where we've slip stitched. Hopefully that'll just bring that all in. There we go. It's all joined in there now. Just going to poke it through there. Excellent. So I'm just going to finish that off. I'm going to just go through a couple of stitches. I just realised I haven't got my studio light on. Doesn't seem to be making much of a difference because there's lots of light. So through the loop with our yarn needle just to finish this off. That did not work. Just pull that loop back out and then go through that loop. That's better. And I'm just going to do that again, go through a couple of stitches. And then go through the loop. And I just need to sew in my yarn ends. I'm going to do that later because I got lots of yarn ends to sew in. I'm just going to spin this around and there we go. We have our top piece. You can't tell, it's just all the same colour. Top piece here and our skirt down here, and we have it joined. Awesome! Now on to the next step. I'm going to be using this colour for the straps. This is actually one of my own ones that I hand dyed a long time ago, and I'm going to use this for the straps. I do have the colour in the top, in the bib, but I don't have it in the skirt. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it replaced the lipstick colour that I had in the skirt. So I'm going to use this because I have, well, I have lots of it. So I'm going to use that for the straps. I would prefer to use the tiff, but I'm going to save my tiff for another project because I think this colour is really cool too. It's basically a bright pinky purple. So that's going to be my straps. Anyway, so I'm going to pop that aside, and you want to find the centre back, which should still be the centre back as where it was before, and just in case you have somehow changed it, just make sure you're laying your skirt flat. You can see here, I think mine's pretty good. It should have 2 shells on either side. So I know that's the middle where my thing is. If you can't tell, just fold it in half and do that thing that we did before to find the middle. For your straps, I'm just going to fold this down so you can see it in the camera. This is the top, get all these ends out of the way. This is the top of my bib. Obviously it's bigger than that, but I just want to fold it down so it fits in the camera. We're going to line the straps up, and if you've done the straight version, it's the same thing. I've got the one where it got wider, but you're going to line the straps up on the back of your skirt to where the top of your bib is. And I want my straps, I would say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I would say 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to line up the edge of your crochet here and then just follow it down. So mine's it's not crooked. Mine gets bigger at the sides, so I want to pretend that it's straight. So I want to line it up here, and we're going to join these straps at the back there. You could put them just a little bit further out. That would be okay as well, because mine's pretty much going to line up almost to the middle. So I'm just going to put them a shell or a cluster or a group of 3 double crochets to the side, towards the outside of my skirt. So I need some stitch markers. I'm totally running out of stitch markers. I must be making projects at the moment with all the stitch markers. Actually, I can pinch some. I don't even see me where I'm getting them from. I'm just going to pinch them from my skirt. I need 4 stitch markers. So I'm going to line it up from where the edge is, and I'm going to come down in a straight line, and I'm just going to go 1 shell apart from where it should be. Oops, that's attached. Another one. And what did I say? I said I wanted 3 shells wide. I think that's going to be enough, so I'm just going to mark it so I have 3 shells. You can totally change this. This is DK yarn, so 2 shells might be enough if you've used thicker weight, which is a worsted weight yarn. So again, I'm going to line it up. And then I'm also, so 1, 2, 3, I'm also going to check to make sure that it's the same on both sides, so I can already see that it's not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 shells, and I've only got 1, 2, 3 on that side, so it needs to come across more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It needs to come way across. And then move this one again. 1, 2, 3. So I hope you can see that. Got my stitch markers. They're 3 shells apart, so I've got 3 shells, and on the space next to them, hopefully you can see that. Is that better if I put my hand there? So you've got 1, 2, 3, and then the spaces next to the outside of those is where I put my stitch markers, and I've come across and I've done the same thing on the other side. I'm just checking to make sure I have. 1, 2, 3, and then the space, and then I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells going across here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shells. So I know that my straps are in the middle at the back, which is awesome because that's where I want them. If you want to put them somewhere else, like if you want to start them in the middle, I don't know, you can do this how you like. I'm just showing how to add strap. Got that done, got my yarn, grab your crochet hook, and we're going to start the straps, and I'll show you how to do that now. So I can show you here exactly where I've added my stitch markers in. I've got 1, 2, 3 clusters, shells, whatever you want to call them, groups of 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then the spaces either side I've got my stitch markers, and then I've done that on both sides. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use the one colour for my straps because I do not feel like sewing in any more ends. We're going to start with a slip knot, so you all know how to do that, and we're going to do chains in multiples of 3 plus 1. So this is exactly the same as what we did when we did the bib. So it's 3 plus 1. 3 stitches is 1 group of 3 double crochet. So depending on how wide you want it, or if you know how many shells you want, that's how many you want to do. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3. That's another group. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at my strap. I'm looking at that now and wondering, do I want my strap that wide? Yeah, I think that's okay. I mean, if you get on the first row and you think it's too wide, you can always just start again. So it's add 1 on the end and double crochet into the 4th chain. So don't count the one that's on your crochet hook. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to do another double crochet in that same chain. You've already done this when you made the bib, if you did it that way. If you did a granny square, then you haven't done this yet. So we are now going to skip 2 chains and a double crochet in the next. So skipping 1, 2 and double crochet in that one there. And then we're going to skip 2 more and then double crochet in the next. So 1, 2, and to the next. Oops. Okay, this is going to give me 4 shells altogether. Oh, that's going to be okay. I can handle that. And then into the last stitch, you should have 3 stitches left. So skip 2 and into the last one, we're going to work 3 double crochet. For a total of 4 shells. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to go across to the space that's there. Remember how we had that 3-1 configuration? If you did the bib the way I did mine, even if you didn't do the increases, if you did it that way, you had that 3-1 configuration. If you did a granny square, then you haven't done this part yet. So we need to continue with that 3-1 for our strap. So we've got 3 stitches down the bottom. So we've got 3 stitches on the row below, and then we've got 1 stitch. So we know that's only going to be 1 stitch because we've got 3 down there. So in the next space, we are going to work a group of 3 double crochet. We're going to do this across to the end. I'm going to leave the video running because it's such a short row. What is going on? I think when that happens, I haven't got my crochet, I'm not holding my crochet hook in the right position, so the hook on the end's not quite right, and it just drops everything. So into the end, we're going to look what we started with, and it's 1 stitch. So into the end, we can also look at the row below. We've got 3 stitches, so 1, 2, and 3. We know we want to do 1 because we're going to keep with that 3 1 3 1 configuration. So on the end here, we're going to go into that chain. That's the top of the chain, so it'll be the 3rd chain from a chain 3. And now we're going to chain up 3. We do this at the beginning of every row, or if you do an alternative to a chain 3, you're going to do that at the beginning of every row. And because the row below we had 1 stitch, and we're keeping with our 3 1 or 1 3 1 3, we've got 3 here, we've got 1 stitch there, so the next row needs to be 3 stitches, and we do have a space that's very close to that 1 stitch, so we know we can work 2 double crochet into there. And now we're going to work 3 double crochet all the way across. Does anybody else grow their own vegetables? Been out in the garden this morning and watered my seedlings. I've got some spinach, broad beans and broccoli just gone in because it's heading into cold weather here, so that's what's planting. Into the end, you can see we've got 3 stitches on the first row, 1 stitch on the next row, so this next one has to be 3 stitches. And also you can just double check, because we started with 3, we're going to end with 3. So there's 2 ways to double check to see if you're on track with what you're doing on the ends. I like to put the last stitch into the chain rather than into that space. Like I said before, I don't know why, it's just something I do. You are most welcome to choose either way. Okay, so we're going to repeat this for the remainder of our strap. So chain 3, turn it around, look at your rows, you've got 3 1 3, so you know that this is just 1 stitch by itself, and there's no space directly next to that first stitch, so we know we can't crochet into it, so our next space is there. Oops, hang on. So work 3 double crochet into there. I'll just show you this row, and then you're just going to repeat the last 2 rows that we've done. Working 3 double crochets into each space across, and when we get to the end, because we started with 1 stitch, we're going to end with 1 stitch. And the other way to check, again, you're going to get sick of me saying this, is that 3 1 configuration, 3 1 3. So the last stitch needs to be a 1, so it's 1 double crochet by itself, and I'm going to place it into the top of that chain 3 from the row below, which is just there. And I like to grab both loops because it doesn't make a hole. It's not a huge hole, but it makes a bigger hole if you only go through 1 chain. Personally, I don't like it. That is just so cute. Great stitch definition with this yarn as well. It's lovely. Okay, so we're going to repeat that until you've got your strap long enough. How long is the strap going to be? How long is a piece of string? I have no idea. I have to make mine, and then I can measure mine for you and also tell you how many rows that I did. If I forget to tell you, it's going to be across the screen right now. So pause the video and I will meet you when we are ready for the next step. I have finished my straps. I've got 2 of them. They're both done. And altogether I've done 50 rows, and that is approximately 19.5 inches long, or about 50 centimeters, and that's unstretched. Now don't forget crochet stretches, so you're going to need to try it on. If it's for yourself, what I did was I just got some stitch markers that were where my straps are going to go. This is the back of my skirt, and then I just clipped them on with the stitch markers You could use a piece of yarn just to tie it on there, and then I put it up over my shoulder to see if they were long enough, and that's how I worked out how long I need them. But that's what I've got for mine. It may be different lengths for different sizes. You'll just have to have a bit of a play around. So I have finished on the row where we start with 1 stitch and finish with 1 stitch. I cannot remember what row that is. So our next row is when we do 3 double crochets in the first space, crochet across, and 3 double crochets in the last space.